Like all these things are like been so massive hops, jumps and skips between that if I had some sort of a rigid plan, I would not be where I am here now. I wouldn't be talking to you. I wouldn't have had the experiences I've had. So essentially I've just sort of nominated myself to the universe and asked it to politely consider me and my dreams to be factored into its equation for the purpose of me making an impact on this world that is going to be beneficial to more people other than myself.
Hello and welcome to Creativity for Sale podcast, a show to help you start and grow your life-changing creative career and business. My name is Radim Malinic and creativity changed my life. You see, I believe creativity can change your life too. I even wrote a book about it and it inspired this podcast. I've set out to interview the world's most brilliant creatives, designers, writers, musicians, makers and marketeers about their life-changing experiences with creativity. If you ever wanted to know how people go from their humble beginnings to the pinnacle of their success, our conversation should provide you with an intimate look into triumphs, challenges and untold stories behind their creative endeavors. We also discuss the highs and lows of creative careers and creative life. So, thank you for joining me on this exploration of passion, creativity, innovation and the boundless potential within us all. Let creativity change your life. Are you ready? Before we start, I need to make you aware of the passionate but spicy language in this episode. It might not be the one to play loud in a car with your young children. Maybe headphones might be better. My guest today is a key figure in a creative community in Australia. As the founder of the world-renowned design conference, he's been bringing incredible creative minds into the center of his universe for others to experience and cherish. A former professional baseball player and a lifelong surfer, he knows a thing or two about endurance and patience. It's my pleasure to introduce the one and only Matt Haynes. Hello, Matt.
How you going, brother?
It's very good to see you again, and it's nice to have you on the show. I'm excited. I want to talk about many different things today. And for those who may have not ever heard of you before, introduce yourself for us quickly.
For everyone who's never heard of me before, my name's Matt Haynes. I'm a designer on the sunny coast of Queensland in Australia, and I am the head honcho at the design conference in Brisbane. It's a good time.
Can't get any better than that.
Get involved.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know I really don't know how to introduce myself, man. I'm a go-getter and I've never had a job. I've never had anyone really show me what to do. I'm just following my heart, trying to do what I think is the right thing to do in the world, trying to fill my life with joy and help people do what they want to do and try and use my conference to help my community circumnavigate all the bullshit that I've been through, for the purpose of making their lives better. Yeah, essentially that.
Well, there's your introduction. I mean, I like the scrappy ones. I like the wondery ones. Because sometimes, like, when you're not really clear where you're heading, it's magical. Because it was a quote by David Bowie. He said, I don't know what I'm doing next, but I promise it won't be boring. And I think being able to explore creativity, life, opportunities for what they are, I think, that's the most magical part. But I want to know if you got up this morning for a surf.
Mate, I haven't been for a surf for 3 months. About 3 months since last time we spoke. I hurt my back. We've got baby number 1 on the way, and the due date is the exact same date as the conference. So my goal has been to have everything wrapped up for the conference the 1st of May. It's up to 15th now, and I've still got deadlines this week, but 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, sitting in this thing. It's just been difficult, man. I haven't been able to lift weights. I haven't been that much surf, to be honest. But yeah, mate, I've not been surfing, and I've just had my mind focused strictly on the concept that the baby's coming. I got outside of our startup, I've got 3 months of like flexible time coming up, and I'm just going to dive in there. Usually after the conference, I go surfing somewhere around the world. Last year I went to Bali and went over to East Java and surfed G-Land. And it was big. And this time last year we had a swell on the sunny coast. I have some photos of it actually. And it was just one of those days that you fucking shitting yourself. Like, I remember I got up, it's down the beach early as fuck. All the boys are down there, and I was like, got up and I was like, because I lived a little bit further away from the coast than all my mates. Got down there at Sparrow's Fart, and I was like, holy moly, get a load of this. And it was big. It was big for where I'm from. So like 3 meter faces, like pushing 4 meters. And the inside was just so heavy and just barrel and just huge blowout barrels. And I was just like, what are you guys waiting for? And they're like, just wait, it's big. And I was like waiting around, and I seen these huge waves come through, and I was like, it is pumping. So I raced back to my car, ripped on my wetsuit, bang, wetsuit to go chest zipper now, got my board, ran it back down the beach, and then I saw it, and it was fucking monstrous. So a couple of young fellas went down. There's a little rocky section that you can jump off and the water sucks you out. I watched those fellas paddle out, and I was like, I'll jump in behind them. And when it's big, you don't just rip in. You sort of like take your time paddling. And when you see the last big set come over, that's when you just put your head down and you paddle your ass off. So when you're in the impact zone where you just get fucking annihilated, it's just flat. And you just pray to the surf gods that it gives you, enough. It's called a lull. So you got the sets, the lull, the sets. And at the lull, you just pray that the lull's long enough that you just get into the rip, get sucked out the back. And I got out the back, and I'm just sitting out there. And then these sets come in. And this particular beach I'm surfing, Watala, there's a reef about a kilometre out at sea. And all the waves that don't hit the reef sort of wrap around and come into the coastline at 2 different angles. And when those 2 waves crisscross on the down towards on the shore, they go from 2-3+ meter waves to like a big 4 to 5 meter peak. And it just bowls out like the roundest barrels you've ever seen. And I think I caught about 4 waves that day because I was proper bricking it. And then that was my birthday weekend for my 40th. And we had a massive Yahoo here. It was loose. And then on Sunday, everyone was just chilling. And I was like looking at the weather, a beautiful westerly breeze, which is offshore here. And I was like, look, guys, love yous, but I'm going surfing. I'm pretty sure it's going to be pumping. I got back down the beach, same spot. There must have been 30 photographers on the beach. It was like as good as it gets. I'll show you a photo. So, when you get a barrel and it's spit, I got more blowout barrels that day than I've had in my life altogether. And one of those adventure surfs that I will never forget, like it was so big, like there's an example. I can't see myself. I hide myself.
I can see it well. Yeah, it's amazing.
That's a small day. Oh, shit. That was a small day. But I'm tucked in there as well. Like that's me just in there, just about to get funneled off my dome. But mate, I love it. It is terrifying. And I was out that surf and I thought to myself, this year I'm actually going to go and surf a proper wave. And went to G-Land, and G-Land was like average 6 to 8 foot, which is like 3 to 4 meters. And I think on the 5th day I was at G-Land, some 5 meter waves come through and fucking you're paddling up the face of them. And you're looking back and it feels like you're looking off a fucking bridge, man, looking off a building. You're so scared, but you also got faith that you're not going to panic. Because when you're surfing, the wave's not going to let you go. It lets you go when you're ready to be letting go of, because it can just keep sucking you down. And if panic sets in, it's a terrifying feeling. So you got to come to grips with the fact that you're going to have to hold your breath longer than you've ever held your breath. And just fucking deal with that. So once you've dealt with that, then you just got to sack up. When you see your wave coming, you put your head down, you rip into the water as hard as you can. Because when it's that big, you've got to really paddle as fast as you can to get into them. And sometimes you're just free falling from the top, like Puerto Escondido, like Mexico, like just so big, just free falling down to it. And you catch a rail and turn into it. You go, huge blades come out, fucking, you fucking ripper. And all your mates are fucking hooting from the shore, fucking bringing their shit around their head. Like it's life changing, man. And that vibe, that feeling is what drives my life. I've lived for it my whole life. I don't think I could ever move away from the coast. And if I ever did move from here, it would be to a more known surf location. And I'd probably move to Indonesia. The cost of living there is brilliant. Pumps 6 months of the year, and the other 6 months, it's probably as good as it is here. Constantly gets swelled. And then it would have more days that are too big than I have days here that I get good surf. So like I went to, when I was at Indo last year, I saw 10-foot barrels and it was like proper Hawaiian style. And there's no way I'm going in the water, because you don't just paddle out in 10 foot for the first time and go to the front of the pack and just paddle into a wave. You've got to earn your keep. And yeah, you're not going to get the money wave. It's a wild time, bro.
I have to tell you a story. I mean, I've written down a few things that you mentioned. And the last bit you just said, you're not going to paddle out in a 3-meter wave if you don't know what you're doing, more or less. That's exactly what I did. I was plonking about here, I was doing like in Cornwall or sort of Western England, just getting my feet, just dipping my toes basically. Like just finding like, I was always a skater. I was an ice hockey player. Like I grew up in a landlocked country, right? So obviously here's every chance to get on the board is you do it. And I've got that sort of obsessive, pretty much similar to you, like this sort of just addictive mindset. Like I want to be in the water for like 12 hours. I don't freaking care, like, whatever needs to happen.
That surf that I was telling you about, I was in the water for 7 hours and it felt like 2.5.
I mean, even if that.
Fucking pumping.
So I landed in Bali. I was like, okay, my missus was actually going to Sydney for some work. Actually, we split in Singapore. I went to Bali, grabbed my board, literally so excited. And I saw the waves. And I'm like, oh my God, this is exactly all I wanted. The problem was, essentially, it wasn't 3 meters. It was like, it was at least 2.5. I mean, it was 2.5 to 3 meters for sure, but it was potentially wasn't bigger, but it felt like the size of a house or a truck.
Oh, it feels so much bigger.
Mate, and I jump in and I'm like literally kid at Christmas Day. Yay! Got in, wiped out in the most spectacular way. And literally I was like, okay, this is not happening. I did a couple of times. And because, in Canggu Beach, you got this sort of gnarly sort of undercurrent.
Canggu is sick.
Yeah. So I'm like trying to get out. Everyone's becoming like, what's going on? And I'm like, hey, I just arrived. Like, the first idiot of the new batch is here. And I since sort of decoded it, deciphered it, that to me it was a link between how we approach things in life. Like it kind of looks doable. I'm going to do it. Because if you're overthinking, you might never get in that water. If you're overthinking, you might never start your business. If you overthink this and that, you will never start.
It's a fair enough call, man.
Yeah. And it's the link, like the bit of idiocy, naivety, excitement. That's what you need to do to get started. Because what you said a few minutes ago, you said, I never held my breath longer. Like you have to be like ready to hold your breath for longer than you've ever held your breath. And this is kind of like an amazing analogy for endurance, because sometimes you just don't know what the life will throw at you that you need to deal with. And I kind of like it because we expect it not to need to hold our breaths. We expect things to actually go well because we are somewhat naive, somewhat inexperienced, and we're expecting things to actually, this should be fine. But at the moment when you're under, you don't know which way is up for a while. You have to hold your breath. And then you get up on the surface and okay, maybe it's time to get to the shore. That's where the most beautiful, maybe the most beautiful sort of life lessons that you learn, So I found with what you described, obviously you light up when you talk about surf, but now you're not able to surf. How do you deal with that sort of meditative aspect of surfing that you don't have access to it? How was your last 3 months?
Mate, all the things that you just said, but the other side of the coin, I don't have a choice. I've bitten off more than I can chew, which is not uncommon. The conference, I added workshops to the conference this year, which are effectively doubled the amount of content that we've got. So it doubled my work. I'm trying to curate all these different experiences that are free for people, that they can get a lot more out of the conference that they can't get at home. So like maybe building their network, but doing it in a way that's fucking awesome. So people actually build genuine networks. And I've got baby number 1 on the way, like I was saying earlier. And my whole entire dream as a human being was to be in a position where I could give my child everything that I wish I was given to me, in an environment where it's safe, where we're financially free, and where I can flourish as a human being and as a creative without having a cost or an expense to my child or my family. And so front loading my life has not been something that is uncommon to me. I've just really grabbed everything I can fucking grab for the hope that I'll learn something that is going to motivate me and tick all my boxes. And my last career was a professional baseball player for the Cleveland Indians. And when I had my sights set on that, there was no way I thought I'd start a conference. And essentially to date, I've basically had my sights set on starting a conference. And now I'm starting a startup. Like, all these things are like been so massive hops, jumps and skips between that if I had some sort of a rigid plan, I would not be where I am here now. I wouldn't be talking to you. I wouldn't have had the experiences I've had. So essentially I've just sort of nominated myself to the universe and asked it to politely consider me and my dreams to be factored into its equation for the purpose of me making an impact on this world that is going to be beneficial to more people other than myself. And so, like, yeah, I fucking love surfing and I'll always surf. I'll never quit surfing. But right now there's 750 people that are relying on me to blow their fucking mind into smithereens. And if my back was sweet, I'd be out there. I would have gone surfing probably 4 times over. I would have gone surfing as many times as possible. It would have been a good half dozen times. But because the spot that I surf breaks on a tide and it breaks in certain wind, and when it's on, it'll be on for 4 days straight and then it doesn't break. Like, even if there's good surf, it's just not. It has to have the right tide because it's a reef break. But yeah, just to summarize, man, I am a surfer. Like, I ride a lid, I ride a stand up. I am more of a surfer than I am a designer. But deep down inside, I yearn to create an environment that my family can flourish in, that I can create. Like, I want to design my life and create an environment that my child can have flexibility and opportunity without me having to force it into any sort of, I say it because I don't know if it's a boy or a girl, force them into a regime that wasn't by my design. And so I feel like I'm very close, and I've been pleading with the universe that if I do my very best and I think of other people in the same measurement and to which I think myself, that it might bless me with the opportunity to have this thing that is just worth more than money, more than surfing, more than anything. And I think it's about to be given to me, man. So I'm so fucking grateful and I'm pumped. And this will be our most profitable conference. This will be our biggest conference. This is the most difficult circumstances I've ran a conference in. And bro, I'm 50 tickets away from a sellout. That's like a row and a half. Like, I sold a ticket while we've been on the podcast. Like, people are really starting to understand or dive into the concept that TDC isn't a conference, man. It's not a conference for designers. It's a creative experience for people in our community to go there and be surrounded by people who are interested in psychology, business, design, creativity, entrepreneurialism, owning your own destiny. And just, I'm going to get on stage literally this year. We've got an experience for the title sequence. So there's an experience for the title sequence. It's not a title sequence, but I'm going to walk out on stage and meet people in the privacy of their own heart and just be like, do you know what's at stake? Like, do you understand that we're all fucking slaves to a game that we didn't sign up for? And being creative people, we have the fucking keys and the nous and the opportunity to set ourselves free, because we can make, design, create, and strategize our way out of this, because that's what we do for other people. So if you could do it for someone else, why can't you do it for yourself? And that's what I'm trying to permeate through the conference. That's what's important to me. And that is worth more than surfing. And if I can pull that off, surround myself with people like yourself and other people that want to help me spread this message, when I put my hand in the cookie jar, there'll be $1 million for me. I'll be able to buy the house, pay everything off, look after the kids, travel around the world to all the different TDC events that are going to open up over the next decade, and live a life that I'm so fucking proud of, bro. I'll write a fucking book, man. Makes me want to cry. Yeah, I'm fucking pumped.
I'm really happy for your achievements and especially for the genuine passion and the pride in your work that you've got. Because you just said something. You said, I nominate myself to the universe. And that's just a fantastic way to say, you know what, I'm going to do this to end up with something different to what I was given. And I think one of the sort of sub themes of this podcast is no risk, no story. It's a book I'm working on, and it's something that keeps popping up here and there. And it's the best way to summarize things that you don't have to do stuff, but when you do, it really happens. It really actually unlocks the magic. I really like the fact that people like yourself decided to build a community, build a conference and work at it for the last 15 years without any sort of signs of slowing down. Is actually, as you just said, it's going to be the biggest thing you've ever done. And that's kind of like when you have that sort of life endurance, creative endurance, like you can be sitting in the water waiting for the wave, and sometimes it never comes, but you're not going to go home, is it not? Not bitter like a lemon going, well, yeah, fishing for waves, but
I get very fucking bitter when I go down there, and the day before it's fucking pumping, and you get back the next day and it's like too big or too small, or the wind's the wrong way. But yeah, surfing is, I'm like a kid in a candy store, bro. I just like you at that Chengdu. I see it and I'm like, oh, fucking yes. Can't get my wetsuit on quick enough, man. Can't paddle out quick enough. It's honestly, man, it's pure joy.
But obviously, it takes time to actually understand how to catch your break, how to paddle right, how to be on your board, like how to be at one with your board. Because I think you mentioned on one of our conversations that it takes 21 hours. If that was like a number that you mentioned.
I reckon you need 20 hours of, because like here's the thing about surfing and general water sports is you're going to use muscles that you've never used before, and you need those muscles to catch the wave, and they're the first muscles that are going to be fatigued when you paddle out in the ocean. So first you just got to learn how to paddle around, and like first you got to learn how to do the arm wrestle before you're going to beat someone. So once you've got you're ready to go, then you can start paddling, and then after 3 waves you're going to be absolutely cooked. Some people just won't paddle for a wave for the fact that they're rooted. But when you've been surfing as long as me, you'd fucking go anything. Like, fucking bigger the better. Like, fill me up, mate. Let's fucking go. Ragdoll me across the bottom. As long as I don't split my head open, I'm happy. You should see my back. Scars everywhere.
Is it? I want to make a link between surfing and creativity, because as you may remember, I once told you the sentence that miracles happen on any size wave. We talk about these incredible tall swells, but it could be just it could be a foot one, and it can just take you on your first wave, on a first glide, and you kind of enjoy it.
First things first, right? If you want to have a really good surf, you've got to be present. It's like anything in life. If you're really going to truly appreciate it and have it as some sort of expression or an art form, you can't be in the surf thinking about fucking speeding ticket that you got when you're racing down to the beach, or you probably would in that case. But I suppose that's a really bad example. When you're in the surf and you're paddling out and you're like dawn patrol and you're beautiful west and you're just paddling out, it's like you're swimming in God's hand. You're literally looking at the horizon, the lines are out there, the sun's popping. Sometimes the sun isn't up, or it might be behind a mountain or something. And it's beautiful. Behind you is basically like almost deep space. And over the head, it goes dark blue into the light blue, into a white color, and then into the morning yellow. And you look at that, mate, and if that shit doesn't feel like you're looking at, man, I have fucking goosebumps all over my body thinking about it. It's like looking at the Sistine Chapel, bro, and I've never seen it. But you look at it and you can't help but feel like a miracle. And then you're paddling into a wave. It's beautiful, and fucking in the morning, you just have the right conditions. The water's as smooth as glass. You glide down and it comes up, wraps around you, and your barrel's coming over the top of you, and you can see the fucking light glistening through the water as it goes over the top of you, bits you at the end, and you're just like, does life get any fucking better than this? I'm so present. People get a 4-second tube and I'll talk about it for 4 years. It's like another time and space dimension. Like, it's like having a car crash. It all happens so fast, but it's so slow. And it's just, you're just like, I'm alive. And how do I get this? How do I manufacture this as a human being? And you're saying, what's the connection? The connection is that it's an expression of creativity. Surfing is an art form, like pottery. Design is an art form with strategy. Like you want to go and do surf comps or whatever, that's professional. But your amateur shit, where you're doing it for the love of it, for an expression, to be grateful for being born and for your health and for having your friends and the camaraderie and the fucking beautiful fucking coffee afterwards with your mate, and you're freezing your ass off, but you still have a coffee with the boys. It's given my life something that I think a lot of people unfortunately miss out on, because it's pure. It's a pure expression of life because it's natural, it's exciting, it's dangerous. And man, and I'm an absolute nerd for it. Like, I love it. But yeah, I don't know how to explain it, but it's life-changing. And if you ever get the opportunity to truly take it up, or a water sport, I genuinely encourage you to do so, because it's life-changing. And I think I would be a different person without surfing, because it almost helps me understand where my place in the universe is. And when you understand your place in the universe, you kind of, in time and space, you know where you're going, you know where you've been, and you can try and, I would extrapolate that kind of concept to, where are other people going? Where have other people been? And can I use that knowledge and understanding and empathy to maybe make an impact in their life? And then when you start to have those tiny little breakthroughs, you start to have wins like, my life is better because I helped those people. And then fucking, this is the start of Maslow's hierarchy of needs and self-actualization and life's meaning. Like, what's the purpose of life? To fucking help people.
You use a perfect word, which is being present, because I think at that moment when you go in, when you're in a barrel, when you're just surrounded by pure water, this is like almost like the ultimate conditions for flow states, because you might be thinking about your parking ticket, but at that moment you just don't. But it's like you don't potentially even have a cognitive capacity to be processing some shit.
And if you are doing that, that's like fucking, it's like blasphemy. It'd be like smoking inside a church or something. It's like, it's wrong, and you're just like, fuck, I've got to let that go. It's a big lesson.
Yeah, because when you think about it, sort of the connection between creativity and surfing, like, we don't always work when we work, we don't always sleep when we sleep, and we don't always rest when we rest. We've got these activities bleeding through, so like when you work in, you're booking a holiday, you're thinking about a parking ticket, and you're buying a new hoodie, or thinking maybe about a surf. Then when you're sleeping, you're like, I'm just hypothetically talking about what normally happens. Like, obviously you haven't finished the work, you haven't written yourself to-do list for tomorrow. So everything bleeds into one another. So you're not necessarily always ever present in the moment and doing the right thing at the right time. And obviously that's just the blessing and the curse of our modern society, because our life is a Disneyland. Like, you can do anything you really want now. Like, you want to start baking cookies in shape of, I don't know, God knows what, and sell them in whatever. You can do this. You can start a business you can be knitting on YouTube and making a global empire. Like, anything can be anything. But it also makes us a lot less concentrated on what we're doing, because we sometimes get the ambitious anxiety going, I really want to be everything today. I really want to do it now. And it's just like, it just doesn't help most of the time, well, at any times possibly. So when you're fishing for waves, that's the isolation. That's just a fantastic way. And I kind of like, it's almost like if you were to put that concept into creativity, like fishing for creativity or fishing for creative waves, we would eat ourselves alive. Literally, we would sit at our chairs going like, I'm waiting for an idea. And what we do, we label it creative block. We're like, oh, well, I haven't got the map where I'm going. I don't know what's going to happen. So I'm stressing and working out what I can do next. Whereas it's the patience. We grow into patience. As a surfer, you have to have a patience, because good things are about to come. Sometimes you don't know. Sometimes you have to read the situation better. And I think to me, it's the amazing sort of conditions for flow states, because you're at one with the thing, you're pushing yourself, you're a bit hard, obviously, you need some sort of initial prep, you give yourself time to do it, and sort of ring fence the time where actually things can happen. Whereas with creativity, we are so fluid sometimes and so open to anything, thinking, oh, I've got an idea, I need to make it now. You don't necessarily need to, because it's like you don't have to go in the water when thing is okay. Whereas I know I can wait for 2 more, 3 more hours, and the swell is going to be even better. I can actually enjoy it better. So this is why I feel like sometimes when I ask in my talks, is anybody here a runner? Because I've got a story about 3 runners being my superheroes, because I can see their positive habits that manifest themselves in their daily run back and forth past my old house. And like 0.1% of people actually put their hands up. I'm thinking, I'm not expecting everyone to be a runner because I'm not an active runner anymore myself. I do different sports. But it's like, where do you find your cleanse? Because we are in this sort of cookie jar that's sort of tightly sealed with our creativity, with our life, with our problems, with everything. It's like, how do you open up? Like, how do you find this? It's not like exertion, like expression, like just the outlet for, energy. So I kind of love that this is the way that you got it, the way you describe it, and where I see you talking about it. One of the happiest people on earth. So I'm very happy that that's what happens.
Thank you, bro. It's also, as we grow up, we go through whatever we go through, and our environment helps mold us to who we're going to be. And everything that I'm doing is helping me beneficially become who I want to be. Like, I'm really leaning into who I am. And I never wanted to be on stage because I would be a big swinging dick. I'd like to think, like, I have an ego for sure, but like, it doesn't involve me being on stage. That's just not part of who I am. And I think that the most, like we're talking about, like the pure form of surfing, the most pure version of who I've become and who I want to be, is got a lot to do with the fact that I've stayed focused. I've had an idea of where I wanted to go, like a radar zone. And over time, I've just slowly narrowed it in to, oh, that would be something that would bring me an immense amount of joy, as well as help me achieve my life goal of being free, engaged, flexible. I don't know. There's another word there. I can't think of it, but just basically on fucking cloud 9, man. Like, I feel like in my life right now, like my career, it hasn't even started, man. I feel like I'm still tiptoeing up to the dragon, and I'm like, I can see you, fucker. And I'm just trying to figure out how to fucking climb up on its back and fucking tame it. And I have all respect to it, because the dragon in this sense is like, it's not my job, but I just want to hop on top and be like, let's fucking go. Show me the world. And I will be your fucking minion. I will be your slave. Let's do this. And let's create something that I can hang my hat on and fucking be totally and utterly fucking exhausted on my deathbed and be like, guys, this is it, man. I'm fucked. I'm so fucking tired. And now I'm going to sleep when I die. And it's been real. I love you guys. Give everyone a cuddle and just pass off in my sleep, man, and go to the next chapter and see if I can do it again. I don't know, man. There's a lot going on in the world, and there's a lot that I want to happen, and there's a massive disparity between the world I want to live in and the world that exists today. And it's a little bit frustrating for me. I want to do something brilliant.
You're already on the journey, and I've congratulated you on that before. It's that, as you said, free, focused, and flexible. And I think we can have a grand plans of trying to influence the world at large, but with the radius that you've created for your world and for your center of your universe, it's already making a sort of amazing impact on the people that know you, that people that sort of talk about a conference, and the whole curation of your festival is remarkable, because you once told me that what is the criteria, what's the ratio of the people that you want to know, that you want to have, and that seems like you've already changed part of the world in that respect, because some places don't often do it. I'm not saying who's right and wrong. It's just like it's a continuous change, because sometimes, there's a demand and supply. You can't you can't encourage people to do something they don't want to do. But with this year's conference, tell me, what is your ratio of the speakers that you've got? What was your decision to be behind your choices, and kind of how it was? Because it was quite remarkable to see the number of people who put their hand up. I mean, again, we've got information compulsion. It's easy to run a conference because people want to speak. However, not everyone wants to speak, and some people need to be encouraged, and some people just need their hand held up. So how did you put it all together this year? Tell me.
It actually goes back a few years because like, let's just preface this entire statement with, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I'm still figuring everything out. My first philosophy on the conference was that the best 10 people should speak, regardless of their sex, because I would take the first 10 dudes or the first 10 women, whoever is just going to be able to give the audience what they need. It didn't occur to me that you could have a more impactful experience by having a diverse range of people who aren't all the world's best creatives, because diversity of age, ethnicity, sexual orientation, agency size, philosophy, background, career, it's more sort of color in the message. And moreover, that in the audience, there's vast and varied archetypes of people from the same backgrounds that echo people on stage. And people need heroes that look like them. It's important to celebrate people from all backgrounds so everyone can see, especially minorities, that their heroes get celebrated too, in the same vein that the traditional white bearded male gets from that's heading up the patriarchy. Because without having someone that you identify with and can know, love and trust, without just like on a cultural level, I feel like that when you identify with the person on stage, it makes it a whole lot easier for you to lean in and lean in spiritually. And for me, the conference is about the audience. It's not about the people on stage. Like, they can all go fuck themselves, like, as far as I'm concerned. Like, if you come to the design conference and just talk about your work, your journey, how fucking good you are and awards you've won, like, you're a disgrace. And like, it's so fucking boring. And some people can pull that off. Some people can't. Metallica can fucking have 3 new albums. I want them to play fucking Master of Puppets, fucking some songs off the Black Album, Ride the Lightning, Kill 'Em All. Like, that's what I want to hear. I don't even know the new album. Like, fucking, it can go fuck itself, because some people are that good or were that good at one point or another. But as Julie, who's got her artwork featured behind you, Julie's been practicing for 12 years, has been an illustrator for 2. And that's why she's speaking at TDC, because the pivot that she's made as a senior or above senior creative, away from what she knows, to step into the dark and fulfill her obligation as a creative who knows what she's capable of, but is not being given the opportunity to do so. I want every creative in the world to know that if you can make your song loud enough, I will put you on stage, because a large minority of the people in my audience are Julie Solstroms. They just don't fucking know it yet. And Julie is their champion. Fuck, makes me want to cry, dude, because I needed all this shit, right? Julie is their champion. And my champion is somebody else. And for 750 people to collectively experience the words and wisdom of their champion in an honest and vulnerable and selfless way, that is a story about how life was beating me down. And I knew I had the talent, but I was so fucking scared of having to lose my house, or not being able to do my repayments for this, or not being able to do my repayments for that. And it's almost as a battle between your head and your heart. And one's telling a different story to the other. One's spirit filled and one's logic filled. And your head will talk you out of what you're meant to be if you let it. Your head will talk you out of what you're meant to be. But honestly, if you follow your heart, just follow your heart long enough. And if you're really struggling, do both. Do an A/B split test. See who's right, your head or your heart. And just give up the piss, give up partying, give up your weekend. Just do it for 2 or 3 years and watch what happens. Your life will transform by a monthly basis, and many little steps in the right direction will take you a fucking long time, a long way, over a lifetime. And I just want the people listening to realize that I'm not a fucking smart person. I've just got the balls to keep stepping. I'm just going to keep fucking stepping. I'm just going to fucking step, and I'm going to step, and I'm going to fucking fight, and I'm going to try and expand my mind in every way I can manage everything. And just hope to God that the universe sees me helping people and positions my path in front of someone else who's far more powerful than me, far more experienced than me, and far more blessed than me to say, I like that kid. I'm going to help him. How can I help you, Matt? And it's like, well, I'm doing A, B, C, D, and E. Do you know anyone who knows anything about C, D, E, F, and G? And like, man, no shit. I got added on LinkedIn the other week just by a random dude, and I looked him up and I was like, this guy looks interesting. I literally said, hey, you look really interesting. I'd love to know more about you. We had a couple of crazy conversations, man. And without going into details, it is essentially exactly what I spoke about. The universe put someone in my path. I was open to the concept that the universe was going to do something for me. I initiated the contact. So the ball was served. I returned serve. And now we're talking about changing everything that I do. We're talking about evolving my entire practice. We're talking about funding a startup. Like, it's fucking crazy talk, man. But it's still just the same principles.
It still always goes back to fishing for waves, because you will never catch a wave if you sit on a beach. You can paddle out as, novice way. You might even not know what you're doing, but you will never find out the experience if you don't put yourself in that position. So what you're describing here is just like, it always goes back to surfing, because the magic will happen if you put yourself in that condition, obviously, if you put yourself in that environment and situation. And I think what you mentioned about Julie Solstrom, who has helped me to work on my coffee company, and she's an incredible talent,
Congrats on doing that, by the way.
Thank you. I mean,
I'm proud of you for doing that, man. It's so cool.
I just knew I needed Julie to work with me, and we've had a great, fantastic feedback, and we haven't fully launched with the company yet. But we created things that are just almost like a one of a kind. And it's amazing to actually work with someone who, as you said, has been in the industry, but pivoted and it's finding her own feet. And she's been getting great recommendations I've discovered her through Aaron Draplin, who gave her a shout out at Adobe Max. So I used that clip in my talk in Barcelona to say, look, when Aaron says pay notice, you see Julie, like, we had to work together, and yeah, she's incredible. And actually, I've got a lot to work with her.
But mate, this is another example. If you're just paying attention, like looking, seeing, not looking. I saw her work and I was just like, wow, I want to talk to this person. Oh yeah, I've just been doing it for 12 months. And you're fucking kidding. Look at you. You're a superstar. I'll do anything to support you because I know you won't let me down. She's incredible.
It's the magic of actually having someone who isn't doing it for 12 months out of the gate. And obviously, like, we grow into patience, we grow into experience. This is what makes us stronger, So you might be terrible at catching waves for 12 years, but you're learning every day. You're picking all sorts of pieces of knowledge. Because in this book that I'm waving around, which is called Mindfulness and Surfing by Sam Bleakley, there's a great sort of introduction saying that surfers are sometimes considered just basically hedonistic muppets, but what they need to know to actually how to learn, how to read the beach, what you need to do. Surfers are thinkers, there's so much that goes into the art of doing it right. And sometimes you think like, well, anyone can be creative, correct? But to find a deeper meaning and a wider philosophy of why we do it and what we do it for, it comes in different stages. Like you do things firstly for yourself, then you do it for then you really want your clients to win. Because at first you want a credit, you want to be celebrated. Then you're just going to realize, actually, you know what? I'm going to help with my creativity. And then you realize, just like you're in that phase now, I'm doing it for the universe around me. It's like, this is my impact. This is what I can actually help the people to do. And you said people need heroes that look like them. Because behind closed doors, we might invent so many different stories that make us less worthy, like they make us less try, like make sometimes the journey not seemingly work. Whereas when you get people on stage, when they definitely don't commit that criminal act of talking about themselves and their awards and their clients, because that's a 1990s, 2000 talks. That's when we find the magic in what we do and how we enrich each other's lives.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's closely related to the flow state that you were talking about earlier. When you're in flow, everything's slower. Like, do you remember in high school, it like took forever to go through one grade, and now I've just blown through fucking 6 months sitting on my jacksie, just trying to figure out what the fuck I'm doing. 12 hours a day, like I'm literally wasting my life. And people do this 9 to 5 for their whole fucking life and call it life. It's just stop, man. Find something that you can do that makes time slow down. And if time is slowing down, you know you're doing something right because you're present, you're experiencing life in all of its colors, you're able to learn at that pace. Have you noticed, as you've become an adult, as an old geezer, as you'd call it in the UK, that people that we've grown up with, specifically friends, parents, you can identify the ones who stopped learning and the ones who are continuing to learn? Do you know what I mean? Because the ones that are continuing to learn always have something really enlightening to share with you and to talk about. But the ones that have stopped learning are talking about sport and headlines on the news, that they're totally indoctrinated into a programmed world that they're on auto. And their life must be fucking going at a rate of knots. Like it must be absolutely flying. And I feel like that if you're doing something that's making your time slow down, I think that's a really, really good symptom that you're learning. And by learning, I think you put yourself in a position for the universe to pick you, because if you know something, you're in a position to pass it on. And that's basically what I've tried to do with the conference, except I haven't nominated me to be the one that shares my knowledge. I've just wanted to be the one that watches and learns, because I like to listen to people talk. I like to watch their hands and look at the whites of their eyes and watch videos and all that sort of stuff. Like I'm not one to read books. I'll listen to a book because I have difficulty reading. So, you know, if you can find your flow, you can slow time down, you can continue to learn. I think it's inevitable before you find something that genuinely lights your heart up and sets your spirit on fire. Like, I think it's just a matter of time. And I think that in of its own is worth more than money, shit friendships, traumatic fucking, like it'll give you the power to face your trauma, all your childhood trauma. It'll help you call your own bullshit out. It'll help you stand up in spaces and call other people's bullshit out where it traditionally has slid. And if the entire human race were to do that, we'd be in a whole lot better place than where we are right now. Fucking wars going on, with human trafficking being the highest black market trade on. You think drugs make a lot of money, bro? Guns and human trafficking makes more than drugs on a global scale. People are being sold around the fucking earth. Like, fuck that. I don't want to live on the same planet as that shit. I can't fight that, but I can create light, and we can shine that light into dark places. And if one person helps another person, helps another person, helps another person, and so on and so forth, eventually someone's going to say, no, I don't want to be a part of that. I'm going to get into my flow state. I'm going to learn, and I'm going to apply myself the way that I was inspired by the universe to be, and live a life that's worth writing a book about.
What you're describing makes me think about sports people. You know, like you need academy. Let's talk about football players or soccer players for our American audience. You know, you need, let's say you start at the age of 5 or 6, and by the time you make that first team, you are 17. So you've been doing it for 12 years, and roughly you've had all sorts of information pumped into you. You've been working on yourself. Then you might have let's say if you're successful, you might have a 20-year career in professional sport. And pretty much that is all about waking up and doing the same thing over and over and over again, hoping that you will get a little bit better, just a little bit better. You're hoping. Sometimes you have a shit day, sometimes you have a good day, sometimes it just doesn't work for a year. But you persevere, you're going. And then when you retire, well, from being an active player, you go into coaching because you are still actively obsessed with the game. How can I make it better? And this is what you just described about learning, because some of our sort of creative contemporaries and peers, they've got linear careers. Okay, I've made it from junior to running this and doing that. This is what we do. And sometimes, like from the outside, I can't vouch for all their details, but sometimes on the outside, it seems like, wait a minute, But you get studios that are celebrated who just churn the same stuff over and over again and over and over and over again. Again, there's a solution and there's a requirement. If there was no demand for it, there'd be no supply. But being in that sort of stage of life, and I think we talk about our 40s, it feels like we just came out of the academy to do that 20-year on the pitch, because the traumatic beginnings and the chaos, the not knowing what we're doing, like working things out, clicking every button, getting every wave wrong, it just feels that's just the beginning of where the good stuff is about to happen. Because you're about to sort of launch a startup, and despite what the world of media tries to tell us, that everyone around the age of 20 is a millionaire with amazing startups, the average age of a startup founder is 45. And there's a reason for it, because I know you've been around the block a few times and you've learned how to look around the corner. And then you realize, oh, you know what? I can actually now use this for something really meaningful. And I kind of sometimes try to say to younger generation, enjoy that the life is slow. Enjoy that it doesn't go quickly, because it might seem like, again, that sort of unfocused, ambitious anxiety, I want to be great now. Because if you want to be great, that's a great start, but you've got a journey to do it. So you can't paint the 16th chapel or play Beethoven within 5 minutes. Just give it a time and enjoy it, because the world is going fast, but we can really enjoy how to tune in just sitting on a board and thinking, I know how to catch that wave. This is my moment. I think life is exciting. And I think what you describe, that eternal learning and eternal curiosity, it's almost like the more you listen.
Curiosity is so big, man.
Yeah, but it's almost.
Curiosity is so important.
Because if you listen to the world will listen back to you. If you see, the world will see you back. So this is why I admire your sort of tenacity and also that endurance, actually keeping the conference not only alive, but growing. And you mentioned plans for the future that, are remarkable. So for those coming to TDC this year, what can they expect that will blow their socks off and make them come back more and more often again?
It's a tough one, man. But let's just say that I have every intention of starting it off in the deep end. Unlike past years, we have 4 sessions a day. And in between those sessions, we jam workshops and discussion panels and whatnot. We've eliminated the first session on day 1. So everyone can just fucking fly in from Sydney, Melbourne, Auckland, catch the early flight and just not miss anything. And then our soft start, we've got a NLP performance business coach who is doing a half an hour on the purpose of being at TDC. And it's super fun. It's really exciting, and it's easy to get lost in all the fucking DJs and fucking gallery and fucking cool apparel and the smell of coffee and great creative directors all getting in a fucking group and all drinking and missing a talk and getting caught up in that. And it's, man, this is your fucking journey, man. This is your buffet of intellectual fucking jism. Get in there. So this is your fucking, this is it. Don't get caught up in someone else's journey. So we're going to have the lanyards. I'm doing them at the moment. And there's another lanyard that says, I'm here on my own, and I'd be totally cool if someone fucking came up to me and chatted. Or if you're just there with other crew, it's like, I'm here with the crew, but this extra lanyard, this extra ticket thing that's hanging on my lanyard means if you're on your own, come out and just introduce yourself, because I'm totally fucking rad. I'm going to say hello to ya. I'm not going to fucking elitism and all that shit. That's not us. We're exclusive. We're inclusivity and diversity. And so then we sort of dive into the first talk. It's 2 hours instead of 1.5 hours. We got First Nations elder coming out on stage, played with a dude, fucking tell a couple of yarns about how back in the day, the fucking couple of mountains had a fight and one cut the other one's head off and threw it in the ocean, and turn that into a fucking fable about creativity and how, if you don't take control of your life, will take control of you, and everything's an opportunity, and just really drown that launch of the conference in Australian culture And then I'm going to come out on stage. We'll have the title sequence, which is an experience. Then I'm going to come out on stage, and instead of getting a big like standing ovation, everyone fucking cheering hell hard. Man, I expect people to be crying.
I'm sure they will. This is remarkable.
I genuinely expect people to be looking inside their own heart and taking stock of how far they've got to go. And then I'm just going to be there and be like, listen, I'm not perfect. I made all the mistakes under the sun, and I'm going to make more. But we need to be there, and we need to be able to give our best effort. So when we fall over, we feel completely, totally and utterly justified to get back up and keep trying. Because when you give it your all and you do fall over, because you will, so much easier to get up and apologize to whoever you got offside. And you just fucking onwards and upwards. And if you keep onwards and upwardsing for your whole fucking life, mate, give me 20 more years and I'll tell you how far it gets you. But the conference is going to go inwards before it goes outwards. So on day one, people are going to be like, this is a bit different. On day two, they're going to start looking inwards and start thinking, well, where was I a year ago? And where do I want to be in a year from now? And on day three, we're going to start to get the party going. The music will change more, be louder, a bit more fucking house vibes, get the funniest speakers on to close out day three. Then we've got a fucking full-blown rave with 6 DJs at a fucking barrel hall. It's open to the public, but we've got an area just for us. We've got $15,000 worth of beers to drink. It's going to be fucking ludicrous, man. It's going to be absolutely fucking bananas. And we've got really great speakers. It was a tough one because we did do the open nominations this year, and it was like 50 people that I couldn't pick, man. D&AD and the Webbies and all you absolute weapons that are out there, if you're listening, about to launch an affiliate marketing program for our stream. So anyone in the world can get on board and share our content and have 50% of the take of every streaming ticket that they sell. And it's my goal to build some really strong strategic partnerships with people like the Webbies and D&AD. And I don't know who the peak bodies are in the Middle East or in Asia or in Africa, but I will find out. And it's my goal to partner with those people so they can tell me who's the two most deserving people, because I don't know who they are from the UK. You're all fucking brilliant. I don't know who to pick. All I know is that we don't want to have 23 Radams there. I want one Radam there, and I want one Julie there, and I want one Casey Martin there. And, I want a bunch of Aussies there. I want New Zealand to know that we love and respect them. Olafana over in Aotearoa, which is I'm learning my Kiwi terminology because I'm serious about that stuff. And we've got some really beautiful men and women who have spoken at TDC and continue to speak at TDC from New Zealand. And if you've never been to New Zealand, follow the Design Institute in New Zealand. Kathy and Anzac and the team there are fucking incredible people. But one thing that they've been able to really distill in what I've experienced through the creatives who have spoken from New Zealand is that the Māori culture, like their native culture, it's a beautiful thing, man. These are the toughest blokes you've ever seen in your life. And they're so beautiful. And the culture is so beautiful. And I can't help but feel like that colonialism and the white life, like the modern day colonialistic life, it robbed Australia of that. And it's our deep shame of our country, of what happened. And people don't talk about it enough. And I'm not even qualified to talk about it enough. But I do understand that when you perpetrate such crimes on people, that it does put a hole in someone's heart that can't be filled with words. It can't be filled. And I don't know what the Australian people need to do, but we as a globe fucking zoom out, man. Like we're all in the same fucking marble flying through the fucking universe. You and me are fucking family. We are. We just so far separated, we're not. And the fact that we can't see that in one another and that we have to hold other people down in order to feel ourselves up. Fuck tall poppy syndrome, bro. I'm about small poppy syndrome. When you see someone that's struggling, I know it's hard to just give money to homeless people because they're in a fucking downward spiral, right? And that's a tough one, and I could be wrong or whatever. But if you can keep your heart and mind open in a metaphysical way, like in a magical way, in a quantum way, I feel like that you can give people energy, like a vibe, that makes him believe in himself and makes him think, I've fucking had enough of rock bottom. I'm sick of being me. I want to be the real me. And I strive to try and be the real me all the time. It's so fucking hard, man. It's so hard, but I feel like the universe is doing a lot on my behalf. And I just feel so blessed, man. And I don't know what it is I want to do, but I want to help people realize what's at stake.
I think you're doing incredibly already. I think what you described in the last hour, it's bringing people together. I'm absolutely amazed with the idea. And I think this is something that should have happened ages ago everywhere, is that extra ticket to say, I'm here on my own. I know you can talk to me or come and talk to me, because I did recently get it off Barcelona as a speaker. And I don't know how some people like Sagmeister do it, just to fly to somewhere without any friends or sidekicks, whatever, without their crew, because I kind of felt outnumbered with 5,000 people in the audience. And I was the speaker. I was there for a purpose. And I kind of felt for the first time sort of overwhelmed and almost introverted, because it was just too much. There was just too many people, too many things to do. And I was scheduled to fly home early anyway. But I was like, wow, this is too much. I need to decompress. So I think that whole notion of what you do and kind of bringing people together, if you go a lurking student, you give them a pass or whatever, and I have a good time. That's incredible, because you say you might not know where you're going or what you're doing and what was to do next, but the core, the heart, the soul is leading you in the right direction. So I'm thrilled about what you do, and I cherish our conversations, because this is a conversation that I always wish was recorded, which is now, and I want to share with the world, because this is where the magic happens. We've got people on the stage for a reason, but the conversation that happens somewhere in a corner of the venue can actually change someone's life. And I feel this is one of those conversations that we've got on record that will change someone's life and inspire them to actually paddle out, grow their muscles, stay in the water, wipe out, do that over and over again until they just, they're in the barrel having the time of their lives. And they will tell about them for seconds to everyone. Matt, I am thrilled, as I said, to have you on the show. I'm glad we had this conversation, and to keep what you're doing, and, keep looking inwards for having an influence on people outwards. So yeah, well done.
Oh, thank you, man. And I just want to acknowledge you, bro, for, making time for people around the world and having these types of conversations with people and helping people share their story. It's a small gesture that like you just said before, it will change somebody's life. And I'm acutely aware of that, and I take it very seriously. And if you are out there and you're having a tough time, just find me on LinkedIn, reach out to Radham. He'll just give you my telephone number and give us a buzz. We can exchange a few text messages or make a fucking half an hour time on WhatsApp. I'm happy to just have a chat with you if you're serious about what's going on. And if you're struggling for cash out there and you really want to watch the stream of the conference, by all means, send me an email. It costs me relatively nothing to have one extra person streaming. And if you're associated with a university, a design college, or some sort of educational system, I would like to give you a complimentary license to stream the conference in a group for everyone at the university or design college to be able to tune into the messages. Even if you're on another time zone, we've got video on demand, and you'll be catching it basically at hot bread. You might not catch it in an oven. You might not be able to ask questions. But, if you want to get up early enough or stay up late enough, for sure. But there's going to be some enlightening conversation, and I'll do everything in my power to make sure people share the information that they don't want to share and bypass all the stuff that everyone's already heard or consumed. And yeah, just one last time, if you're having a tough time, what's that saying? This too shall pass. Stay locked in, man. Stay locked in, stay kind, keep your chin up, brush your hair, say please and thank you, and your time will come. The sun will always rise. Embrace it. Let it shine on your face and smile. It'll change your day. I love you.
Matt, thank you so much. Good luck with the conference and good luck with the impending fatherhood. It will change your life the way you never expected. So yeah, dude, pleasure.
I love you, world. Have a great day.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Creativity for Sale podcast. The show was produced and presented by me, Radim Malinic. Editing and audio production was masterfully done by Neil Mackay from 7 Million Bikes Podcasts. Theme music was written and produced by Robert Summerfield. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to support the podcast, please subscribe and leave a rating or review. To get your own action plan on how to start and grow a life-changing creative business, you can get a copy of Creativity for Sale book via the links in show notes. As always, keep those creative fires burning, and until next time, I'm Radim Malinic, your guide through this exploration of passion, creativity, innovation, and the boundless potential within us all.